What's going on, guys? It is Ryan once again here with Michigan Storm Chasers. We have a little bit of an update to share with you guys regarding today and tomorrow's severe weather threats. So, today we're going to be focusing on the UP of Michigan. There really is no other risk across the state. We scroll down here for the lower peninsula. The light green color here indicates general thunderstorms are possible later on this evening into the overnight hours. So if you're in the light green areas from Grand Rapids over to Saginaw North, expect a thunderstorm or two possible overnight. But the focus is going to be over here in the west central part of the UP. Now, notice here, if you've been paying attention to our forecasts, we've been looking at a marginal risk, but now we have a slight risk that is now in the western portions of the UP with the level 3 enhanced sitting just literally just off to the west of Ironwood here. Currently does not sit in Michigan, but the higher risk is right there, so we got to pay attention to that, see if it shifts. Overall, though, it was an upgrade, and there's also an expansion back to the east here that covers the majority of the central part of the UP now as well. So, hazards today. Number one, we're going to cover here is a tornado or two possible in extreme western UP here. We agree with this quite good. The Ironwood area needs to be on alert tonight for a potential tornado or two possible. Further east, though, toward Houghton, Marquette, not really too much concerned as we lose instability and stuff like that. But when the storms first arrive, which we'll go over that here in a second, when they first arrive in the western UP, pay attention for a tornado or two as a hazard there. Overall, not a very high concern, but it is a concern we want to mention nonetheless. Secondary threat here, damaging winds is going to be your main driver here of that slight risk. We're going to see the 15% in yellow, basically level 2 out of 5. We're going on levels here. All over toward Houghton, Ironwood areas, but that 30% red area, again, just sitting off to the west there, the enhanced risk. So we're going to watch that as well. Looking at the hail risk here, it is a hatched risk, also just off to the west here. What hatched means is significant hail over 2 inches in diameter would be possible. Luckily, it's not in Michigan, but it is right there on the border, so pay attention. Again, these borders and lines here are man-made; they're hand-drawn. So storms don't like to follow borders, as we've learned here in Michigan this year already with Livonia tornado stuff like that. They don't like to follow borders. So just pay attention. We could see some storms try to go rogue outside these lines. Just pay attention if you live close to them. Okay. So basic takeaway from this: severe hail, severe wind, a tornado possible. Okay. But wind and hail, primary concerns, lesser concern of a tornado or two possible. Models for tonight, looking at the evolution. Still some uncertainty here, but models do show there being a decent shot here. These storms right here at 9 p.m. Eastern, they're going to be fairly close to the UP here. Once they move into the UP, though, they don't look as menacing. But again, those storms are in a decent environment here for some severe weather. So we're going to watch these regardless. The models don't really show too much happening. It says it's going to go into Wisconsin, Minnesota. We're going to watch regardless. The environment is favorable for storm development and storm severity here. So it's going to be a risk we're going to watch. Our coverage is scheduled to begin at 10 p.m. tonight. If anything goes severe, we'll be live covering it. Okay. But as these move through the UP, though, they're going to cross over into the northern lower Michigan here. And that's why you have the general thunderstorm risks. This is at 4 in the morning here. All right. Don't be shocked if you wake up to a thunderstorm. None of these are going to be severe, or the expectation at least is for none of these to be severe overnight tonight. That'll push through the lower part of Michigan as we get into the late morning hours into the afternoon tomorrow hours. And we go ahead and switch over here to the Thursday outlook. We now have that slight risk back once again. We kind of didn't agree with them taking it out to begin with, but now it's back for portions of South Central Michigan here. For Lansing, we're going to say Flint is also included, as well as portions of West Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor, back through Adrian, all the way back over to Kalamazoo, Benton Harbor areas. The level 2 yellow is back there, but a marginal risk does still extend further to the north. Alpena, Roscommon, Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities, Port Austin, stuff like that, Port Huron as well. You guys are in the level 1 risk. So a risk is a risk. Take it seriously as if it is a risk, because it is. Okay. Hazards tomorrow. Main hazard is going to be number 1, large hail here. Again, it's going to follow these contours quite well. The 15%, we're going to call it level 2 hail risk there, back down toward Lansing, Ann Arbor, back through Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Coldwater, those areas. But further north, you have a 5% risk here in that reddish brown color, all the way up to Alpena, Roscommon, Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities. You guys need to be on alert. Secondary threat here, damaging winds. This is honestly, I think, the main concern currently as it sits, although it could be a tie between large hail damaging winds. The environment looks favorable for potential for both. So just pay attention for both hazards here. Equal, same exact outlook here, that 15% level 2 risk, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Benton Harbor, places like Coldwater, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek. Those are the larger places. If you live between those, or if you live in that 15% yellow risk area, that's the highest current risk highlighted. All right, but again, further north, Alpena, Roscommon, Mount Pleasant, Grand Rapids, Tri-Cities, you guys are in that lower risk, but still a risk nonetheless. And then last but not least, there is a potential for a tornado or two as a possibility. Again, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Benton Harbor, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Coldwater. Those are the larger cities here, brushing towards Flint and also Detroit as well. So 25 miles of a certain point would kind of put you on alert there if you live in Flint or Detroit. So just pay attention to any shifts or any changes to the forecast. But right now, the overall evolution of storms, we wouldn't really expect too many, or should I say, too much of a concern for a tornado or two possible. We're lacking a lot of spin again. But again, with these lake breeze boundaries in Michigan, with outflow boundary interaction, we have a lot of mesoscale features that may support brief spin up tornadoes. So the risk is definitely not zero. So we're going to watch it. It's not going to be an outbreak by any means, but we're going to watch it just in case. All right. Looking at the model for Thursday night, we'll wrap it up with this. We're looking at the model here. We have storm development here at 4 p.m. up here in the UP, northern lower potentially. And as this moves a little bit further south, here's 5 p.m., here's 6. We have storms developing in southern Michigan. That's not the only line that's going to develop, though. We're going to have storms up here in the UP as well as northern lower. As we get into later evening hours, a secondary line to the west forms, and that also develops further back to the north and east through southwest Michigan. So this model currently does say that the highest risk is going to be within that slight risk area that we just mentioned. That's where the highest coverage is going to expected to be. But the takeaway from this is any storm that goes up pretty much across the entire lower peninsula of Michigan would have potential to be strong or perhaps severe. Main time frame for Thursday after the 3 to 4 p.m. time frame. Potentially multiple rounds here. If we notice back here in the model, we had storms going up. This is at 6 p.m. right here. But if we go a little bit further on to the evening, here's that line develops into Kalamazoo. There's 10 p.m. So we're going to have two lines potentially here. We're going to say 3 p.m. onward, close to midnight, and probably a little bit after midnight potentially as well, to watch for these storms to move in. So takeaway is main time frame is going to be potentially two lines here. Overall time frame, we're going to say 3 p.m. to midnight. We'll be here live streaming and chasing this as needed. So you guys have a great day. We'll be live at 2:30 today for a briefing regarding today. We'll be live at 7 p.m. tonight regarding Thursday. And then if anything goes severe, our coverage will begin at that point in time. And then also tomorrow, obviously, we cover for Thursday, we'll be covering that as well as needed. So with that being said, you guys have a brilliant day. Stay safe out there and follow our page as well as SPC and NWS local offices for your updates regarding these threats.